Rogers Dab Chevrolet was just a regular car dealership here in Brandon, Mississippi, and about 10 years ago we started branching off with our parts department, and we became one of the top 3 largest parts departments for powertrain, for engines and transmissions in the country. So in doing so, why not support the industry that supports the most powertrain, which is your performance engines and racing? And there's a need there that was not being filled. There was a customer base that was not being taken care of.
We keep the sealed crate motors in stock, the 602, the 604s, the 525s. Whether you're driving a late model or a modified or a street stock, we've got an engine for your car. We also carry the accessory kits, KRC drives. We also do Gary Williams carburetors. We've been in this for a couple years now, and we're doing it to benefit the racers.
Everyone is trying to get into racing, knows that it's not a cheap sport to get into. So price structure was a big thing in taking care of the racers, and we knew early on that we did not want to make this a profit center. We wanted to make it about the racers. Price is a big thing. However, customer service is where it's at. And we've had several instances where racetracks have called us and said, hey, we had a driver out here qualifying and their engine popped, and it's Friday night at 9 o'clock, and our team, Benny and Ryan, are calling me and saying, hey boss, we need to take care of this race car driver. Let's get them an engine as soon as possible. And they'll be here before sunrise the next morning on Saturday morning, pulling that engine, getting it to that person so they can get it installed and be racing that night. That's the kind of customer service we want to deliver.
The following is a special presentation of Crate Racing USA, America's leader in racing. This is Crate Racing USA Live.
They're side by side. The top 2 of the points are 4th and 5th right now. Here comes Jimmy Thomas. We're back underway out of turn 4. 13 circuits to go around the Talladega short track, and we now have ourselves a battle for the lead. Out of turn number 4, Jeremy Steele wins the Turkey 100. This is America's leader in racing, the Rogers Dab Performance Parts Crate Racing USA Dirt Late Model Series 4Y.
And now your host, Cody Earley.
Well, hello there again, and welcome to Crate Racing USA Live. My name is Cody Earley. Glad to be with you. Welcome into our first milestone episode. Welcome to episode number 10. We have a good episode tonight. Donnie Shipp will be joining us. He is with the American Crate Late Model Series, one of the sanctioned series that goes across the Crate Racing USA brand. They got a big doubleheader weekend coming up this weekend in the Lone Star State of Texas. The 5th annual Jerry Shipp Memorial, a race to honor his dad, comes up Friday night at Hunt County Raceway, and then they'll be racing at Kennedale Speedway Park on Saturday night, as it's the next 2 events for the American Crate Late Model Series. We'll talk to Donnie about that. We'll talk about his racing career. That's right, he's behind the wheel during this thing as well, and we'll talk about everything going on with him, and of course, the past leading up into the race this weekend, the 5th annual Jerry Shipp Memorial, and honoring his dad. We'll do that coming up tonight. Then we'll have the man behind the madness of Thompson Racing, Bama Sheds, and a whole lot more stuff. And I tell you what, the Thompson name in the Crate Racing USA side of things is starting to pick up, as he has got 2 young sons that are starting to make some noise, not only in 2 divisions, but 3 divisions. We'll talk to Gary Thompson tonight about everything he's got going on in the Thompson Racing, and of course his business, Bama Sheds. We'll talk all that tonight, but right now let's take a look at what happened last week as we go back. And I tell you what, as we go into week 14, week 13, very similar, unfortunately, to what we're seeing going into week 14, but let's dive into it. On Friday night, May the 22nd, Mother Nature won. We tapped out. Baton Rouge, Hattiesburg, Pike County all threw in the towel, with rain winning night number 1 of the weekend last weekend. Over to Saturday, it was Blackwater Speedway in Baker, Florida. They hosted a $2,000 to win Crate Racing USA Dirt Late Model event, plus they had their kids' bike races. It was one of the biggest fields they've had, and going to victory lane in a $2,000 payday on Saturday night was Chase Holland of Success, Mississippi. He picked up the impressive victory over there. The Playground of Power, man, they've been trying to have monster trucks, I feel like, for a month now. Finally, they roared into East Alabama Motor Speedway on Saturday night. They had local racing as well. In the Crate Racing USA late models, it was Kyle Knotts out of Smith Station, Alabama, going to victory lane. And in the late model sportsman, it was Bubba Gorman, hometown driver there in Phoenix City, took care of everything on his home turf. Up in Owensboro, Kentucky at the Windy Hollow Speedway, it was supposed to be a big doubleheader weekend. Mother Nature took round 2, but on round 1 on Saturday night, in the Crate Racing USA Street Stocks, it was Joshua Tyler, hometown driver, picking up his first win of the 2026 season. Track announcer, Blake Smith.
Matt Kelly, your leader in turns number 1 and 2. He's trying to hold off the 51 of Nick Brooks. Brooks looks to the inside as the car enters turn number 3. The 88S of Travis Sneed slowing in front of him. Is that going to play a factor? Contact between your leaders. The 5 car into the infield. Leader to 51. White flag in the air. We're going to stay under green. New leader to 55 of Josh Tyler. Tyler into turns 1 and 2. He's trying to hold off the 3 machine of Justin McDaniel. Josh Tyler into turns number 3 and 4. One final time. Your winner out of Owensboro, Kentucky, Josh Tyler. Second place will be the 3M of Justin McDaniel.
Unfortunately, the rest of Saturday fell victim to rain. Magnolia, Pike County, Talladega, 441 Speedway, and Western Kentucky all saw their Saturday racing programs get washed away. On Sunday, a very frustrating trend continued as Cochran Motor Speedway, Magnolia, and Windy Hollow all saw their racing programs washed out. North Alabama Speedway in Tuscumbia, Alabama, they welcomed the new Extreme Dirt late models to town. In the Crate Racing USA late model sportsman, it was Bryson Mitchell picking up another win and continuing what has been a really good 2026 campaign for the defending two-time Crate Racing USA national champion. Here is track announcer Mark Mitchell.
White flag is out. One more circuit around the racetrack for Bryson Mitchell. He'll stay committed to the top side of the racetrack. He's been running that cowboy line all night long, and it's paid off. Out of turns 3 and 4. Russellville, Alabama's Bryson Mitchell taking home your Crate Racing USA Z Speed Shop 602 late model division feature.
And in the modified sportsman, it was Brady Qualls out of Centerville, Tennessee, picking up the win. I know we talked a lot about rain last week, and unfortunately, when we get ready to close up this show and talk about week 14, Mother Nature's not going to be very nice this weekend either, but hopefully there's some sunshine in the future as we flip the calendar out of May and get ready for June. We'll talk about that coming up at the end of the show. But that's how things wrapped up in week 13. Remember, all the points, they're out. You can find them at CrateRacingUSA.com. Just simply click on points. You can also do that on the My Race Pass app. Keep up with everything. And of course, you can go to the Crate Racing USA weekly Facebook pages, and you can see the top 15 drivers in all 4 divisions every Thursday when those posts come out at noon. That takes care of week 13. We'll shut the book on, hopefully, all that Mother Nature madness, and we'll get ready for our first guest. Coming up, guest number 1 on the show, Donnie Shipp from the American Crate Late Model Series joins us. You're listening to Crate Racing USA Live.
Crate Racing USA Live will return after this commercial break.
When performance matters, champions choose Hoosier Racing Tires. As the largest race tire manufacturer in the world, Hoosier produces over 1,000 different types of race tires, engineered for speed, precision, and winning results. With cutting-edge technology like a 300-mile-per-hour test wheel, a state-of-the-art production facility, and advanced mixing plant, Hoosier continues to lead the way in racing innovation worldwide. Hoosier Racing Tires. We fuel passion, pride, and success with our tires designed for champions. Order today at HoosierTire.com or call 574-784-3152. Hoosier Racing Tires. Tires designed for champions.
Racers are dedicated to winning. And Chevrolet Performance's 3 factory-sealed Circle Track crate engines can help you get to the checkered flag first. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a touring hero, on dirt or pavement, Chevrolet Performance Circle Track crate engines are engineered to win. Right out of the box.
I'm Matt Williamson. You know, the thing with the VP Racing Oil is we trusted the fuel for so many years that it was easy to switch to the oil. and we're glad we did. The stuff is phenomenal. It's the best oil out there, and we have all the confidence in the world in every fluid we run on the race car because it comes from VP.
VP Fuel and Lubricants is the only oil and lubricants that we use in our 3-car program, and it's the only one we trust for that.
In racing, every edge matters. Next Racing Wheels may be new to the scene, but behind the name is over 35 years of innovation from Taylor TJ Weld. Built with 100% CNC precision, Next Wheels feature a one-piece center, bolted outer half, and an O-ring seal, eliminating leaks and weak points. And with bead screw technology, you get superior tire retention without the hassle of bead locks. Stronger, lighter, built to handle the abuse while reducing deflection for better traction and balance. Plus, the bolt-together design means faster repairs and more money in your pocket. Innovation, performance, value. Check us out at nextracingwheels.com or find us on Instagram. Next Racing Wheels. The future is next.
Feel the thunder. Experience the heart-pounding action of Crate Racing USA from dirt tracks across the South. Catch every lap, every pass,
3 wide, just momentarily for the
every victory with Crate Racing USA TV.
Modified main event on this Friday night.
Watch live events or dive into on-demand replays anytime. Whether it's a single night shootout or a full weekend of racing, you're in control. Never miss a moment. Watch from anywhere. Visit CrateRacingUSA.tv now for upcoming events and full race replays. Crate Racing USA TV, America's leader in racing.
Did you know that your Crate Racing USA membership gets you 5% off every purchase with Velocita by Melissa Markowitz? Well, you do now. They have everything from custom measured suits to gloves, Zamp helmets, and some very cool swag. Find Velocita by Melissa Markowitz on Facebook and get your order in today, and make sure to mention your Crate Racing USA membership. Welcome back to Crate Racing USA Live. We have our first guest on the line, and it is the director of the American Crate Late Model Series, Donnie Shipp. Donnie, welcome to Crate Racing USA Live.
Thank you. How are you today?
Doing well. A big weekend for you all. Crossing fingers, Mother Nature has been not very nice to anybody in the South. At least I know definitely over here on the Eastern Coast, that's for sure. But you guys have had your battles with Mother Nature as well.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. You know, Josh Landers is my partner. We also run a racetrack. We have the late model series that I race in. So Dustin Daniel actually is the director of it. But we also have a modified series here in the Dallas area, but we also run a racetrack, Hunt County Raceway, and we just finally raced last Friday night for the second time this year. So, yeah, it's been we got a little rain this morning at the track. Josh was actually at the track earlier and said we should be good to go. So tomorrow's chances are pretty slim, and then Friday we're down to 10%. So hopefully, you know, we've already had to schedule Dad's race, reschedule it once, rather. So hopefully this Friday we can get it in. So we'll see.
And let's talk about that. Of course, it is the Hunt County Raceway hosting the 5th annual Jerry Shipp Memorial. It'll be happening coming up Friday night, $2,500 to win. This event, Donnie, yet to see a repeat winner in this event, which is pretty cool in itself.
Yeah, it is. I was fortunate enough last year to win it, which was really, really special. Hunt County Raceway, the track that we run, was actually home for me and my dad for a while between that and Devil's Bowl. And so just trying to keep the place open. And but yeah, man, winning that last year was pretty special. But yeah, we've had 4 different winners, and you know, that's been pretty cool in itself, you know, to have 4 different people be able to share my dad's memory with my family is pretty, or, you know, 3 others rather, I guess, not including me, is pretty cool. And that's what I told Patrick Daniel the other day, a guy that runs our series. You know, I said, man, I want everybody to be able to win this race. Obviously, I still want to win it as much as I can, but I also want to share my dad's memory with everybody in the series. So it's a touch 22 there, I guess, you know, from the driver's standpoint. You want to win every race you enter, and as a series owner, you want to see everybody be able to share that memory. So it's pretty special. Pretty special. We get to have it. The first year we had it, we didn't have the track the first year it come about. A friend of mine that sponsors me, I was actually in the hospital, and he come to visit me and told me that him and Dustin had schemed this together, and told me how they did it. And he's given this amount of money to make it pay 25. My number's 25, and so he wanted it to pay 2,500 to win, and so that's kind of how we got the win money. And then something I've started doing the last 2 to 3 years is I get lap sponsors, and I take that money. We run 30 laps for this particular race. I take that money and I've spread it through the field instead of paying the guy that leads that lap. I've taken that accumulated money and I've spread it through the field. So, like 20th, it pays $450 to start. You get to 15th, it's $500. And so it pays real good down through the line for a one-night show, especially. So yeah, it's a pretty cool event for that reason too, because I feel like the racer's taken care of really, really well for the show.
The inaugural event, Corey Neal Jr. won back in 2022, Jeffrey Abbey in 23. One of our former guests, Little Robbie Starnes, won it in 24. And, of course, Donnie himself won it 1 year ago. And kind of let's pick up there before we go back into the series. Let's talk about your racing career. Obviously, you mentioned your dad and you had raced. Kind of take us through where it all began, kind of even give us a little bit of history on your dad, and kind of fill us in on you and your racing career, bringing us to now where you're still actually competing on the track now.
Yeah, so my dad never did physically race. He had a very short drag racing stint when my mom was pregnant with my sister, which was their first child. And I think the third or fourth time he drag raced, him and this guy had a grudge match going, and it started raining at the line, and they decided they're still going to race. And that's back when you drove the car to the track, and I forget what happened, but he slid off the track. He beat the guy, but slid off the track and messed up something to have to do with the air conditioner. My mom has to ride home pregnant in the heat, in the Texas heat. So that was the end of Dad's racing career. Dad had a friend of his in the 60s that drove sprint cars here in the Dallas area at Devil's Bowl Speedway. And man, I grew up around it. Dad never, like I said, dirt track raced. But it was just something I grew up around, and I decided that I wanted to do it. My ambitions as a kid, being at Devil's Bowl every Friday night, was I wanted to run sprint cars. But as I ended up getting, married and had my kids, my ambitions kind of changed, and just thought, man, the sprint cars would be cool, but your chances of getting hurt obviously are probably a little greater in those cars, and just kind of put the father figure in motion there as far as protecting my kids' future. Not saying that anything would have happened, but just trying to think outside the box other than myself, I guess. So built my first street stock the year I graduated high school, run it for a year and a half, and then I got in mods. I was in mods for 22 years, IMCA, outlaw mods. The latter part of my career, we run a lot of open stuff, and Patrick, me and him's raced together for years off and on, and he's the one that kind of got me into the late model deal. And this series had kind of just started in the DFW area by another gentleman, and he quit. Dustin took it over, and then I took it over from Dustin, and here we are. So, but yeah, this is year 30 for me, and I've had a lot of good times, met a lot of great people. I absolutely love racing, and my passion grows every year. And it's funny, we were just talking about this the other day, me and Josh. It's like since we got the track, our passion has doubled. And it's a lot of work. As a racer, before I got the track, I had a lot of things wrong about the racing side of it from a promoter standpoint. And I owe a lot of promoters apologies probably for thinking things that were not there or true. But neither here nor there. I mean, it's a lot of work. I appreciate all the promoters in the country that do this, because it's until you do it, you have no clue. And it's really helped me later in life in my career as far as understanding that side of it. I've been in racing for a long time. I was on a NASCAR truck team right out of high school for a little while, and I've done a lot in my 30 years of being around and driving. And so, yeah, it's I built cars for a living. I've pretty much done every aspect of it now. So, but yeah, we just love the sport and just trying to keep it going.
We're talking with Donnie Shipp with the American Crate Late Model Series. They're getting ready for a big doubleheader weekend this weekend. The Jerry Shipp Memorial will kick off the fun Friday at Hunt County Raceway. $2,500 to win for the series. And then, of course, Kennedale Speedway Park on Saturday night for a $1,500 to win. You talked about kind of racing the modifieds. I was hoping you'd get into that a little bit. I was looking a little bit through your history, and, man, the modifieds, a lot of time behind the wheel of a modified. Do you think that maybe kind of helped you when it comes to maybe adapting to these late models?
Yeah, I think so. Man, the Dallas market in open mod racing I'll put it up against anywhere in the country. We've got a lot of good racers here in the mods, and it's tough. There's the other series we own is the Tom's series, been around for about 12 years now. And man, I think we're averaging 40 cars a night with that thing right now. So we're doing real well with that. And it's a tough series. I mean, there's a lot of guys that go home and they were fast enough to win the deal. They're on the trailer after the B main. It just didn't go right, for whatever reason. So I feel like that's helped for sure. The late model is a different animal. I'm used to bigger motors and, being able to drive the car with the throttle more so than the late model with these crates is you can't do that. You're tight, and you're done, so that's been a challenge a little bit to learn the differences there. But yeah, I'm having a blast in the late model deal, man. Something I've always wanted to do. Texas has never been a huge late model scene. They've come and gone. And I think that's a lot of the reason that, it struggled to get the crate deal going as people's like, well, we've seen this before, but that's why I put the point fund out. The first year I took it over, we had a $10,000. Now we have a $30,000 point fund. It pays $7,500 to win. And my goal with that is to show people, hey, you can make some decent money if you commit to the series and commit to yourself. Obviously you got to run good, but there's money at the end for you to take care of you through the winter to get you back for the opening night of the next year. So, but yeah, the mod deal, I do believe it helped in a lot of ways. There is a lot of differences. The cars drive way different, and obviously the motor's the biggest. The motor and tire is the biggest. I mean, a mod, you're on an 8-inch tire. In this car, you're in a, 12, 14-inch tire that's a lot softer. So it's a different deal. But yeah, we've adapted well. I mean, we've got several wins in the late model in the 5 years we've been in it. So, but yeah, I'm happy where I'm at, man, and still enjoying it.
Yeah, and 76 races in this series altogether going into this weekend. It'll be the 11th time the series has been at Hunt County, the 9th time at Kennedale Speedway Park this weekend. And you mentioned, the late model side of things out that way is kind of faded, but you guys have really started to see in the last few years with this series starting to gain a lot of attention, starting to get some car counts up there. And obviously growing is part of the process with a series, but with you all, what's kind of been the trend for you all the last few seasons that you think has helped the most kind of get these folks headed back into the kind of not making it late model country, but making late models a part of the area again?
I'm going to credit that to a lot of things. I think the first thing is it's been around for 5 years, which is probably actually 6 years. I didn't run it the first year. I was still in mods, but I think the longevity that it stuck around is one thing for sure. I think our payout is really good. I mean, our normal night is $1,500 to win, $300 to start, and I don't know of anywhere in the country that pays that. And I look at things a little different. I know there's like the Mississippi series. I think they pay $2,000, but they pay less to start. It's probably real close to the same purse, but I just think that, where we're at, I think we got to take care of the back markers a little better than maybe they would, just because they have more to pull from that we don't have. Because we don't have weekly racing, so to speak here. The only thing we have is the series. And so if we're not racing, we have to either drive 5, 6, 7 hours to east or something like that to find a place to race. And then it's a weekly show, and the tracks can only afford to pay $700-800 to win. Totally get that. But with the price of fuel right now, my guys, I got several that want to run for the national deal, but it's just, you got to put a pen to paper and try to make somewhat sense of it. Obviously, if you really put pen to paper to race, and none of it makes sense, but we do it because it's what we love to do. So, but yeah, I think that, and I think the point fund has really helped. I have a lot of people that run the series and a few that don't, that even complimented me on the $30,000 point fund. So, point funds are missing in racing a lot of areas in today's time. And I think, especially when you get into an upper class that's traveling, a lot of my guys are from the Houston, San Antonio area. So every race they come to is 5-6 hours. And I just feel like I have to give back to them because I got to have those guys every time we race to make this work. We've got a decent car count right here in Dallas, but it's not enough to take to the racetrack. It's not going to make us a full field. So we're getting there. I think the affordability of the crate late model itself versus an open mod is obviously cheaper. I've ran both, and I know they're cheaper. So it's just getting people to believe that, because the consensus when you hear the word late model as a racer, it's like, oh man, that's Lucas Oil or that's World of Outlaws, and that's a $150,000 race car, and that's not necessarily true. So, but getting people to understand that or believe you on that is another task. So, I think as long as we stay around and keep gaining a car or two every year, I think we'll get it there. Obviously, I want it to be 35 cars every night right now, and we got to grow to that. That's the hard part, because I believe in my product that I've created here with my guys, and a lot of them believe in it too. So, but it's getting the people that are not involved in it yet to believe that as well. That's your challenge. So it'll get there. I feel like it just, it takes time, and I want it now, and it's not going to be now. So it just is what it is. So
we're talking with Donnie Shipp as we get ready for their big weekend this weekend. The Jerry Shipp Memorial, the 5th annual, comes to you this Friday night. $2,500 to win, $450 to start. And then, of course, Saturday night, Kennedale Speedway Park, $1,500 to win, $300 to start on Saturday night as the next rounds come up for the American Crate Late Model Series. Also, I wanted to mention, too, one of our Crate Racing USA sanctioned divisions, tours out there, and it kind of helps, for these guys that do maybe want to come over from the Texas area and dive into Louisiana and Mississippi. It kind of allows your guys too to be able to come this way and compete when you guys have the off weekend as well, if they want to.
Yeah, for sure. When I talked to Adam 3 years ago when I took this over, I wanted to sanction because I wanted to be able to take the same race car from Dallas to Georgia and not, we varied from that a little bit this year. We went to the hard right rear mandatory, the 55 for now. The guys wanted to try that, and I didn't vote on it. I told them we'd vote on it, let them vote on it. We'll try it and see. And we ran one race so far on that. This will be our second, third race this weekend. But we burned up a lot of tires in our area last year. And, this year I hadn't heard a tire even before we went to the 55. So, but, they wanted to try it, and I'm open-minded. I'm for anything that if people's trying to make something better, I'm going to listen. So not saying we'll do it every time, but just if I feel like it could help. So we allowed that in as of now. But other than that, we're 100% Crate Racing USA rules, and that was important to me. I felt like too that would help build our deal faster because we're on the same island as Adam and Crate Racing USA. So now we can take this car from Dallas and go to Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, whatever, and we know the rule package. And so that I also put a small deal to that as far as I think that's helping the growth because, that's what I'm trying to sell this deal to is my guys like, hey, you can run for the national deal. It's $12,000 to win there. You'll be in the hunt of our deal. So if you're in the hunt of that, so, you luck out and win both. That's $19,500 for a guy that still works. It's a pretty healthy point fund in my opinion. So for a weekly type racer. So, that's life-changing money as far as your racing is concerned, in my opinion, if you could win both of those. So that helps your program a lot through the winter, so that's where I'm trying to focus on and tell these guys, look, the sanction makes sense. I've got a few that are kind of like, well, why are we sanctioned? We don't, I just feel like it helps because once we don't sanction, now we're probably not going to get some of the guys that would travel to come over here because they don't know us. They don't know, is this some hillbilly, series? And I think the credibility that Adam and Crate Racing brings to this helps me and helps my guys. So we'll still stay sanctioned for sure.
We're talking with Donnie Shipp as we get ready for their big weekend at Hunt County Raceway Friday, Kennedale Speedway Park on Saturday. Another thing for you guys that I think is pretty cool, each race, every night, Race On's got the coverage. Of course, you can hear the voice of the series, Chase Lawler, on there as well. Pretty cool that you guys also have the opportunity to be in people's living rooms when they can't get to the racetrack.
Yeah, Race On's a huge, huge help to us. A lot of the tracks around here, too. Great group of people, awesome to work with. And they're a huge supporter of our series and do a lot of extra little things for us that they don't charge us for. And I can't thank Chris and his guys enough, and Harry and all those guys that show up at the track to help out. Man, they're just they're a great asset to have, not only for the track, but for both of these series that we operate. And man, they're always, hey, can we do anything to help? They're just really always on deck to jump in and help us. And that means a lot to Josh and I both, because that's, you got to have an army to do this stuff. It's a lot of work, like I said earlier, and the more people you can have on your side, the better you are, for sure.
So for some folks out there, maybe some drivers that have some off weeks coming up that would like to maybe head out to Texas and maybe check out some scenery and go race, where do they find out more about the American Crate Late Model Series?
We have our website and obviously our Facebook page. American Crate Late Model Series is the Facebook page, and you can link off of that to the website there. But obviously, I'm always a phone call away as well. I'm very accessible. If I don't answer, I'll call you back. I think actually Chase Holland just tried to call me earlier. I'm pretty sure it was him. But we'll see if we can get him out this way this weekend maybe, and see if we can get him over here and run with us. So.
Well, Donnie, we appreciate you hanging out with us. I know not only are you keeping the series straight, you're also helping with the racetrack, and you're also driving the race car, and then, of course, working Monday through Friday. So another one of those fine folks that in the racing world have a full plate to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot. My wife reminds me of that. She works a full-time job, and I run two companies of ours, and then we do the racetrack in both series. And so, yeah, we're pretty busy. So, but like I said, man, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. Just trying to pour everything I can into the sport, keep it going. We all kind of know, it's not as healthy as we all would like it to be, but hopefully we can all work together and keep it positive and keep it headed in the right direction, and just try to teach the youth that's coming up the right way to do stuff, and, quit nagging on social media about this or that, and go to the source and have the conversation with the problem. But neither here or there, I guess. If that's what they want to do, they're going to do it that way. But yeah, we're just trying to do our part, man, and just keep it going here in Texas. So far we've been fortunate that we have good car counts, and obviously Josh and I, we've been involved in racing for a long time. I think that helps a little bit too with our name and stuff. So, but yeah, we're doing okay. We can't complain.
Well, Donnie, we appreciate you giving us a small little bit of your time, and wish you all the very best this weekend, and hopefully good weather for both races, and a good car count this weekend in the Lone Star State.
Yeah, we hope so. And thank you guys for all you do for us, you and Adam. We enjoyed the banquet this year, and looking forward to coming back this next year.
Indeed. Donnie Shipp with the American Crate Late Model Series, Hunt County Raceway, the 5th annual Jerry Shipp Memorial on Friday, $2,500 to win, and Kennedale Speedway Park on Saturday night, $1,500 to win. Coming up, we'll get you ready for the touring side of things. We'll talk Sanoa. We'll talk weather. We'll talk a lot of stuff on the touring side when we return. It's Crate Racing USA Live.
Crate Racing USA Live will return after this commercial break.
Need speed? Need parts? Need results? Head to Knowles Race Parts and Bodies in Rome, Georgia. Your one-stop shop for everything racing. From a full line of race parts, shock and setup services, to VP Racing Fuels and Lubricants, Hoosier Racing Tires, and Chevrolet Performance Circle Track engines, Knowles has what it takes to get you to victory lane. Plus, with many parts in stock, you won't be waiting when it matters most. Have questions? They've got answers and the experience to back it up. Remember, Knowles knows race parts and bodies. Call 678-414-4655 or email cdkknowles66@hotmail.com today.
When it comes to race day safety, don't take chances. The Fire Suit Lady has you covered. Velocita by Melissa Markowitz is your go-to source for top quality safety gear, including SFI certified suits, gloves, shoes, and head and neck restraints, plus the latest 2025 Snell rated ZAMP helmets. Whether you're gearing up for the first time or upgrading your equipment, Melissa will make sure you get the right fit and the right protection. Trust experience, trust safety. Velocita by Melissa Markowitz. Don't take chances.
Looking to transform your outdoor space? Look no further than Bama Sheds. As a family-owned and operated business, we understand your needs. That's why we offer no credit check, rent-to-own options. Enjoy free delivery and setup within 35 miles of our 4 convenient locations. Whether you need a shed, pole barn, garage, or carport, we've got you covered. Visit our website at BamaSheds.com or call 256-268-8484. Bama Sheds, where quality meets affordability and your outdoor dreams become reality.
Scorpion Race Cars, home of the Scorpion chassis in Phoenix City, Alabama, is your home for anything racing. From complete cars to any level of fabrication or repairs you need. We're a dealer for all the top brands of racing parts, fuel, and more. Need a complete setup? Give us a call today for your appointment. 334-448-0604. Scorpion Race Cars has over 50 years experience in the business. Find us on Facebook at Scorpion Race Cars or call us today. 334-448-0604.
The baddest street stocks on the planet return to Why Not in 2026. Don't miss the Southern Street Stock Nationals, featuring the Crate Racing USA Street Stocks in a must-see weekend. Over 200 plus entries 1 year ago, and entertainment all weekend long, including live music. It's the Southern Street Stock Nationals at Why Not Motorsports Park, August 12th through the 15th. It's a must-see weekend. Be there.
Race fans have a home on Speed Sport 1. Feel the roar of IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series. Experience the power of American muscle with the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. Speed Sport 1 has a wide variety of motorsports competition that will satisfy your inner racer, from IMCA dirt track action to Ferrari Challenge North America. Speed Sport 1 is 24/7. Go to speedsport1.com for details and viewing options.
Can't make it to the track? Crate Racing USA TV has you covered. From live events to on-demand replays, Crate Racing USA TV is your go-to for everything Crate Racing USA. Watch from anywhere at any time. Simply visit CrateRacingUSA.tv and never miss a lap. Remember, if you've got that on-demand replay, you get a $4.99 discount on those weekend packages for those 2-day shows. Hello, everyone, and welcome back in to Crate Racing USA Live. Well, we talked about in the opening of the show how weather played a huge part in Week 13 of the national competition. Well, it's been playing havoc on the touring side of things as well. Most recently, this weekend's show at Sonoma Raceway postponed. Now, the good news is, I guess if there is a good and a bad, is luckily Swainsboro, only the only race this year that we've lost that have not been able to rebook back would be the Swainsboro race. Other than that, Alltech rebooked their race, and now, most recently, Sonoma Raceway, with that race getting postponed earlier today. The event that was scheduled to happen Saturday, it will now move to September the 12th. So it'll be a Saturday show, September the 12th. That will come after, of course, we visit Sonoma Raceway coming up in August. We'll talk about that coming up in just a few moments. And, of course, the All-Tech Raceway will have their event coming up June 27th. That'll be a one-day 10,000 to win with a practice scheduled on Friday, June the 26th. But the national points, the touring points, I should say, coming in have stayed the same. They've been identical since we left the Dixie Speedway, which means Joseph Brown, after he had that rough night at Dixie, has now had a chance to regroup and re-rally, and unfortunately, thanks to rain, he has kept that top spot, and I would say been turning wrenches, so to speak, in these few weeks off. He leads the points over Austin Yarborough and Diesel Jones. They both set 10 points back. Griffin Smith, of course, the most recent winner, way back on April the 18th at Dixie Speedway. He's 14 points out of the top spot. With Bubba Rowling currently set in 5th, Chase Giddens would be 6th, Austin Bloodworth 7th, it'll be Joey Armistead 8th, Jonah Bozeman 9th, and Caleb Gay rounds out the top 10 in those national points. Now, if you're curious, since we've had all these rainouts, since we've had all these changes, what does the schedule actually look like? Well, here you go. This coming weekend, well, I should say next weekend, Tazewell Speedway, the inaugural Jimmy Pup Thomas Memorial. It'll pay $3,000 to win. We'll be up there on Friday night, June the 5th. We'll back that up with our first ever trip to Thunder Mountain Speedway in Corbin, Kentucky. The Tennessee-Kentucky Borderline War, $5,000 to win on Saturday night. Mother Nature, as of right now, and I've got my fingers crossed, my toes crossed. I think I even crossed the pencils that are laying here on the desk. Weather is starting to shape up, especially up in East Tennessee and up in the state of Kentucky as well. So hopefully we'll be good to go next weekend. We'll follow that up the following weekend. And by the way, keep track. We're talking 7 straight weekends of racing. Modoc Speedway, the inaugural Brian Stewart Memorial. It'll pay $5,074 to win. Now, they're going to have some bonus money if you lead laps. It could, if you led every lap of that event, it could be an $8,000 to win when it's all said and done. That's Saturday, June 13th. We head back to the House of Hook, Why Not Motorsports Park, Saturday, June 20th. Then the postponed race at All-Tech Raceway will fall in there. We had an off week between Why Not and Cochran. It'll be June 27th, a $10,000 to win for the 6th annual Harvey Jones Memorial to close out the month of June. We'll refire the engines in July at Cochran Motor Speedway with a pair of shows July 3rd and 4th. It's Christmas in July. It'll be a $2,500 to win and a $5,000 to win on Saturday. And then, of course, in July, Magnolia Motor Speedway. It will be July 10th and 11th, and that's how we will wrap up the month of July. Fingers crossed, June and July are a whole lot nicer to us than the month of April and the month of May, because if you remember 1 year ago on the touring side of things, the spring was just very wet, and we lost a bunch of races around the same time 1 year ago. So that's how things stack up on the Crate Racing USA Dirt Late Model side. On the Crate Racing USA Late Model Sportsman Tour side of things, very similar. They're kind of patiently waiting for their next event. And that next event for them, it'll come at the Extreme Speedway. And that event will happen coming up June the 20th. It'll be a $2,500 to win. And then they'll head into the month of July for a pair of shows at Pine Ridge Speedway, the Rumble at the Ridge. It'll be a $1,000 to win on Friday night and a $2,500 to win on Saturday night. So a bunch of racing going on the 4th of July weekend with both tours in action at 2 different places. You can find out everything you need to know about both touring series, CrateRacingUSA.com. That's CrateRacingUSA.com. And you can also check out the Facebook page, Crate Racing USA, and Crate Racing USA Late Model Sportsman. It's all on the World Wide Web. And of course, points, schedules, and information too on My Race Pass. Just search Crate Racing USA. That's a look at how things are shaped up on the touring side of things. Guest number 2, we'll welcome the man that's in charge of Thompson Racing and Bama Sheds. And I tell you what, he's got 2 pretty good drivers right now starting to really feel their own. We'll talk with Gary Thompson coming up next. You're listening to Crate Racing USA Live.
Crate Racing USA Live will return after this commercial break.
As far as I can remember, my dad was always buying VP fuel. And then once I got to a certain level of racing where I was good enough, I was sponsored by VP, and I believe VP, my whole entire career, is what I ran with at Mitch's at Pro Circuit, and then also Factory Kawasaki. So very reliable fuel, it makes good power, and you can relatively get it anywhere. So that's the beauty of VP, is always supporting our sport and making sure that we all have fuel to go racing.
Looking for the ultimate racing getaway? Then pack your bags and join us for the 28th annual Cruise with the Champions, January 17th through the 23rd, 2027. Set sail on the beautiful Carnival Vista for a 6-day Eastern Caribbean adventure featuring stops at Amber Cove, Half Moon Key, and Celebration Key. This is your chance to relax, connect, and hang out with your racing family away from the track. But listen up, cabins are limited, and if you want to be close to your crew, you need to get that deposit in now. Got a Carnival code? Be sure to let us know, and always compare pricing to get the best deal. Interior, ocean view, and balcony rooms are available, but they won't last long. Got questions? Call or text 678-414-6970 today. Cruise with the Champions, where racing meets paradise.
Need reliable equipment to power your next project? Westpro JCB has you covered. From durable mini excavators to cutting-edge teleskids, we offer solutions that deliver performance and precision. Visit westprojcb.com today and upgrade your fleet with machines you can trust.
Whether you're a race team, track, series, or business, Matman Designs has you covered. We offer high-quality logo mats, solid mats, rubber logo scraper mats, outdoor scraper mats, Versalite mats, and even custom graphic design services to bring your brand to life. At Matman Designs, we take pride in top-notch customer service and durable, eye-catching products built to perform. Visit matmandesigns.com or find us on Facebook today for pricing tailored to your specific needs. Matman Designs, where your brand stands out from the ground up.
It's time to level up your collection at Columbus Sports Cards. We're talking sports cards, Pokemon cards, and must-have sports memorabilia. Buy, sell, or trade it all in one place. Pulling heat, chasing legends, and stacking your best collection starts here. 5880 Veterans Parkway in Columbus, Georgia. 706-507-9277. Catch the action live on Whatnot and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and eBay. Open Monday through Friday 10 till 7 and Saturdays 10 to 3. Columbus Sports Cards.
Jamie Gower, still your top three. Parker Thompson caught in the middle of the two. Parker Thompson right back on that bottom, wanting to challenge it again, coming into three, and when he comes out of four, he's going to have a problem. Parker Thompson wanting to challenge at the line.
So we got a new leader. That will be the young shoe of Brodie Thompson out of Talladega in the T9. Be a tall order for Godby to get close to your leader. There's going to have to, a mistake has to be made. Coming out of turn number 4, his first feature at 26. How about it for Brodie Thompson?
Anybody you want to give a shout out to, any of your sponsors or anything, man?
My dad, Bama Sheds and Pole Barns, 0T Race Cars, Victory Seats, Tour Track Parts, CC's and Tobacco, Talladega RV Park, Pit Stop, and the Great Lord above for letting me do this.
Amen, brother. Give it up for him one more time. Talladega, Alabama's Brodie Thompson.
As you can tell by the clip, a very good start to the 2026 season for Thompson Racing. Our second guest tonight is the guy that's in charge of that, plus Bama Sheds and a lot of other special things in the community down around Talladega. That would be Gary Thompson. Gary, welcome to Crate Racing USA Live.
Thank you, Cody. Glad to be here.
Welcome in. And I tell you what a start to the 2026 season. Not only do you have some competitive drivers in your camp, but you got some drivers that are, well, inside of the top 10 in the national points. One of them in multiple divisions. One just took the lead in the VP Racing Fuels Challenge Series for the young drivers. And, of course, drivers that are now starting to work their way, obviously, towards victory lane, but making themselves known everywhere they go. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does, makes me proud. I mean, these boys work hard at it, and with our limited experience, we feel like we just have to work a little bit harder than a lot of people. Because we didn't know much. So to be where they are right now, I mean, it definitely makes me proud.
And let's speak about right now. Just flip the calendar 1 year. Such a really a big difference from this time in 2025 to where you are now in 2026. I mean, what do you think? What do you think's really the
the big change? What's been the big switch between Brodie and Parker coming from just 1 year difference?
You know, for Brodie, it's he's having a little bit better year than he did last year. You know, we dedicated this season to the 602 Tour, so it's a little bit different deal for him compared to last year. You know, he won 3 races last year. I think the biggest race he's won in his career so far was last year. I think he won 3 at 3 different tracks. Golly, I get it mixed up. But this year, you know, he came out strong at different tracks because we're running that tour. You know, he's racing tracks that we haven't been to. A couple of tracks we've only been to once, and you know, I think he's really starting to kind of feel the car technically more this year than he did last year. And for Parker, you know, Parker built that car, and you know, it's taken Parker a little bit longer because he built the car. He is all about trying to change stuff, move stuff around, you know, to something that he likes. And you know, the last few weeks, I guess the last 5 or 6 weeks, he's been pretty strong. You know, it's the best year he's had in his short career, and I think it's just due to his hard work. You know, he works on his car by himself. He doesn't, you know, I don't know anything about the modified stuff. I barely know anything about the late model stuff. So Parker does it all himself, and I think that's, you know, made a big difference for him this year compared to last year.
Yeah, and in the last 5 races for Parker in that modified, worst finish being a 10th. He's finished second, runner-up twice, once at Talladega, once at Magnolia, and then most recently on May the 16th, a 7th place finish at Extreme. You look at the modified compared to the late models. What's some things maybe they can do to help each other? Because, you know, obviously these two cars drive totally different, since the only common thing is your dirt racing. But what's something they can do to help each other?
Really track condition. What Parker feels and what Brodie feels, whichever one goes out first. Gear is usually pretty close. We've got enough personal data now between the two cars after a couple of years of racing that, you know, the cars are so different, but the difference in how they respond at a particular track, now that we've got a track record as far as how they run, if Parker goes out and says, hey, it's, you know, there's something down there in the bottom, you could drive in a little deeper, we can take that information for Brodie and adjust, you know, Brodie's driving style or car setup and vice versa. So really that's about it. Because other than that, those cars are so different. So it would be, you know, really track conditions and feel of the car that they really kind of talk about the most.
We're talking with Gary Thompson, of course, with his sons Racin, and then he's got Bama Sheds as well. Well, you mentioned just kind of a short time getting into this. Kind of tell us the story. How does Thompson Racing get to where we are right now? How does these two young drivers get to where they are? Kind of take us through your part of that. Where does the racing come from on your side, and bring us to today?
All right. To be honest, I live 8 minutes from Talladega short track, and I have been in this area for 20 years. And up until I think it was about 5 years ago, I didn't even know that track was there. I didn't know dirt track was a sport. You know, we went to NASCAR. So we were right there, but we never went past the NASCAR track. So didn't even know it was a thing until COVID. when COVID hit and they canceled sports, both boys were playing, soccer and football and baseball, that kind of stuff. And when COVID hit and they canceled sports and canceled school, neither one of them are really homebodies. They like to be outdoors and like to be out doing stuff. So we found, heard that the dirt track was there and that they did not shut down for COVID. So met a guy named Steve Ferguson who had a mini late model and ran the go-kart track. Obviously didn't know there was a go-kart track there either. So we bought that and got Brodie in it when he was, 10. I think he was 10 years old. And we went and ran a few races, didn't know, had zero experience with race cars, setup, and none of that stuff. It was something to do. It was something we became very passionate about very quick. But we took our lumps, the first 5 or 6 races because Brodie didn't know how to drive it and I didn't know how to work on it. I treated it as a go-kart. And there was an older gentleman that stopped by one night after a race, and I was a little frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to get him to go faster. And he asked me what they call them, and I said they're called mini late models. And that night it got me to thinking I was setting that thing up as a go-kart, not as a late model. So I started YouTubing and Race Know-How and all that stuff on the internet on how to set up late models. And it talked about camber and caster and rollout. And those were really the only 3 applications that at the time that would apply to that car. So that's what we did. Brodie started clicking off some wins, and he won, I think he won 13 races his first full season and won a championship. And then the next year, I think he won 15 or 16 races. Something a lot. And he won another championship. And that's kind of when we started looking at moving him up, to the late model stuff. I mean, that was never a thought, to be honest with you, when we bought the go-karts. But I had a friend, Terry Smith, that was, well known in the racing community, and he became a mentor on the little mini late model. And, he told me I needed to get Brodie in a late model, and so we, I found one that was race ready. And that last full year of Brodie's go-kart racing, he was racing go-karts every Friday night, and Parker was racing a junior late model every Friday night. And on Saturday night, of course, we'd go to the short track and watch the big cars race. And what people didn't see was on Sundays, they used to have an open practice at the short track. So every Sunday we would go out there, and there was never anybody there. I think we ran into 1 or 2 people that whole summer, but we would go out there on Sundays and after a Saturday night race, the track is not great. Super slick, dusty. But that's what we would do. He would go out there and drive that car for hours, just making laps. Terry beat it in my head early, to get better quicker. The only thing you could do is seat time. And at the time we had, Sundays were open practice. So we took full advantage of it and did it every Sunday. And when we felt like he was ready to go race, I think he was 12 years old, and he raced go-karts. I think it was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal. Thursday night, I think, was go-karts, and then Friday and Saturday was a Lucas Oil race. That was Brodie's first race in a 602, was a Lucas Oil night race at Talladega. And it just kind of went from there. We raced Talladega twice and Boyd's, I think 3 times that year, and decided to let him run Ice Bowl that January. And the whole time I just kept telling him, when we first started, as long as you don't spin out and do something stupid, we'll keep doing this. So I think that stayed in the back of his mind, and we would always start him in the back, no matter where he drew or qualified. We'd start him in the back, and there were always a couple of drivers that, we felt were pretty good, and he would watch them, and wherever they went, he would follow their line, and that's really how he learned. And not long after that, we got a modified, and started letting Parker practice, and then he started racing. Golly, I can't remember how long it took. Wasn't long, and he started racing. So, not knowing much, not coming from racing, not being a second, third generation, we didn't know nothing about nothing, and still don't know a lot other than the stuff that Terry taught us and kind of beat in my head was maintenance on your car weekly, be consistent, and seat time. If you do those three things, those are like the basics. If you do those things, then the other things will come a little easier. So that's really how it all started. Never went and saw the big cars and thought, well, yeah, we want to do that. It was COVID. COVID happened and we found it, and here we are today.
Yeah, and it's pretty neat how all that unfolds, and the story of, and this is something I'll come back to in a minute, the story of living so close but not knowing it was there seems to be something that I hear a lot. Being in my area, being located to so close to so many racetracks here in my area, I get that same thing of, I didn't even know it was there. And to me, I get that whole shell shocked look. But then, when you really think about it from the promoting side or how you get your information of your racetrack out, it's so different now than it was back then. It's so, you're so reliable on social media and certain things. And, it's either you land a really big push or you're still missing a whole spectrum of the world that has no idea you exist. And that's kind of a really neat story, that you go from just being down the road, not knowing it's there, to I think you guys are almost there every time the gate opens now, if you all are able to be there.
Listen, if there's a track within 3 hours of us that's racing, we're at a track every weekend. I think the only month we don't race now is February.
Give it time. I'm sure there'll be. There'll be something in the month of February.
There will. So racing the classes that we race. Parker's a little more limited because he runs the crate modified, and that class is growing a lot. There's a lot more modifieds in crate racing USA this year than there was 2 years ago when we started. So it's a growing class, but there's a lot of tracks that Brodie goes to, like on the tour, that they run UMP or a different modified, or they don't run modifieds at all. So, hopefully that'll kind of expand, keep expanding too. Because it's being at those different tracks is huge. And, even today you see more advertisements for the tracks. I think the promoters are doing a better job now, but the other part of that is when we started going to the racetrack, we would hear some people that we made friends with, some people that have been going for generations, their families have, and they talked about how the dirt track racing was and how the pits were, 15, 20 years ago. And just by the stories that I heard about racing back then and what I see in racing now, it is completely different. I've seen more young kids at the track and in the pits, and it feels more of a family atmosphere than the stories that I heard about. So I think there was a stigma, and may still be with some people, of the stories that they heard about things that happen at the racetrack. So it's kind of on us as the boys as racers and us as fans to, let people know it's not the way it used to be. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. There's not a lot of crazy stuff going on. The competition is real and it's good, but I've seen, and we've been a part of, stuff happen on the track, and then you go to the pits and you talk it out, and your kids are playing with somebody's kids two or three pits over. So I think it's a two-part deal. The promoters are doing a better job, and then there is that stigma of what dirt track racing looked like years ago.
Yeah, most definitely. And the exposure that the dirt track side of things is getting now with the streaming and with the national television, it has all kind of brought together. And, there's a lot of people that will make that argument, give me a Saturday night at a dirt track before I get a Sunday at a NASCAR track. And that's it's crazy to think. And when it's all said and done, it's all racing, but man, they are two separate roads, so to speak, when it comes to a fan base, for sure.
They are. And that's, I have my best friend lives in Arkansas, and he had never heard of dirt track racing either. And he saw, the TikToks and the YouTubes of the boys races and stuff like that. And, he was watching from a distance, and he was like, hey, I need to come down there and check this out. So, he comes down, he checks it out. And, now he watches, the streaming stuff. He likes to watch the boys. I mean, he's a fan for life now. So there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, it is everywhere. And, we were pretty big NASCAR fans. But I can tell you, I would rather be driving home on a Sunday from Volusia or Charlotte or Extreme or Magnolia than sitting on my couch watching NASCAR on Sunday. 100%.
We're talking with Gary Thompson as we talk about, of course, the family racing program and the business. Let's talk about not only do you have the boys racing, but you got Bama Sheds as well. And if you've raced in the Talladega area, or you've raced in the state of Alabama, or even outside of the Alabama, you see Bama Sheds on a lot of race cars. You've kind of reached out with that too, kind of helping the racing community and putting your stamp on things with not only race cars, but sponsorships with the series as well. That seems to be very important to you as well.
It is. If I'm in something, I'm in something. If I'm passionate about it, and I see the good that it does for not just, my family, but other people, it's brought us together. I mean, at my age, I have a 19-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy that, we're together 7 days a week. We go racing on the weekends. We travel, a lot racing. We've been to, I think we added it up now, we've been to 16 different racetracks in 2.5 years. And then we come back and wash cars together. We work on cars together. There's a lot of other things that they could be doing. And I heard that a lot from Terry, my mentor, Terry Smith. And it's true. I mean, it's brought my family together. Me and the boys are pretty close, and I see it wherever I go. So I'm pretty passionate about it. And to see the youth getting into it, not just Brodie, but since Brodie transferred from the go-kart track to the big track, I've seen 5 or 6, 7, 8 kids that were racing at the Talladega go-kart track that are now racing something at Talladega short track. And I think it's great. I think the youth is what's going to, carry the sport on, and we gotta have that. So I am super passionate about racing, and you like to see people that put in the work, trying to help them get good results. And I'm not smart enough to work on the race cars, so if I can help them out a little bit, I do. I enjoy it that much.
Of course, you can find out more about Bama Sheds. You can go to their Facebook page. Just type in Bama Sheds, and any question you might have, you can ask. And also, you can go to BamaSheds.com to get more details. We're talking with Gary Thompson. You know, there was a part of the season last year, and this was something I probably should have intervened a little earlier when you made the comment. I remember last year, I can't remember if it was Needmore or where it was, you guys were on the road, and you were literally trying to keep all the wheels on this bus by yourself and in the shop. And there was a turning point. I feel like it was early in the year last year where I think he kind of might've reached out to Brodie and Parker and said, you know, hey, I need some help here in the shop. And ever since then, I feel like things have just kind of, I mean, everybody's gotten faster and everything seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now. That seemed to be a pretty big turning point for you as well.
It was. I mean, we didn't know what we were getting into. Parker and I were talking just yesterday. When we built our shop, we didn't have race cars. We had skid steers and go-karts and four-wheelers and motorcycles, and now it's, full of race cars. But it was a lot of work, trying to get both cars ready and staying on both boys to, hey, let's try and stay on the program here. Let's get them washed. But I think once you start finding a little bit of success and you can attribute some of that success back to the process of what we were doing or what I was trying to get them to do, it kind of sunk in with them as, it's like, hey, there may be something to this, and it's a lot, and it is a lot of work. The more they raced, the more comfortable they got in the race car. If it wasn't doing what they wanted it to do, or couldn't go as fast as they wanted to go, couldn't drive in as deep or whatever, you got to learn how to do those things. So now with Brodie racing 602 and 604 and Parker and modified, this year, we kind of planned it. We knew we were getting the 604. We had bought it, a couple of years ago, and it just sat. And I kept telling them, look, until we can get these two under control, you guys got to help me. And when we can do that, then we'll bring that third car out. So they both stepped up, and they both, Parker's always kind of been there. Just needed a little motivation sometimes to get out to the shop. But going on the road and trying to do all this stuff it's a lot. And that Needmore race, that was a teaching moment. Parker didn't race that weekend. Brodie did. And we only took the 602. And Brodie had put stuff off that week. And I kept telling him, I will not touch your car unless you're in the shop. And he said something like, it'll be okay. I'll just change the way I drive. So we kept on driving, So we get down to Needmore, a place we've never been, have no idea what gears, nothing. And I think we didn't make it for practice. Yeah, we were late. We didn't even make it the day of practice. And he went out and qualified. No, I don't think we got hot laps, but I know we qualified horrible. I think we qualified like 35th or 38th out of 40, 50 cars or something. It was something crazy. And Brodie came back in and was mad. I don't know what's wrong. And I said, well, I mean, the right wheels aren't on where they're supposed to be. We haven't done anything, to the car. And I think he did okay during the heat race, but it wasn't enough. So that night after the heat race, and he was going to be put into a B main, he was like, can you make me faster? And I was like, buddy, I don't know. I mean, I can make you faster than you were, but this is a new track for us too. But you got to be under the car with me to work. So we stayed there that night, I don't know, till 2 or 3 in the morning, working on his car. making some adjustments that we thought would work based on what we saw in qualifying in a heat race. And sure enough, we come back the next day and he wins the B main and makes the show to was it the Southern Heritage, I think, race or something at Needmore?
Yeah, I believe so. At the end of March last year.
Yeah, it's pretty big race. But anyway, after he won that B main and raced his way in, I mean, that was our goal, was to make the show that weekend. And he came back off the track and he was smiling from ear to ear and he was like, we make a pretty good team. I said, buddy, all you got to do is work on it. So yes, you were absolutely correct.
I distinctly remembered that conversation.
That was it was a teaching moment, and I feel like it stuck, and this year they both continued to work hard on their cars. Parker's been pretty hot here the last few weeks. They're both learning in a different way. Brodie is learning to feel the car from the cockpit and be able to communicate with me better. And Parker, since Parker won't let anybody touch his car. He'll help us. We can help him put a wheel on or change a gear, put some gas in it, but he likes doing all the other stuff himself.
And that was something I kind of noticed too. You'd made that comment to where, Brodie had kind of zoned in on driving first, and now he's learning the car side of things, to where it was Parker seemed to be the car person first, and then he's figuring the driving part out and now starting to put it all together.
That is correct. And Parker, and that's kind of, their personalities are about the same way. Parker is a very technical person. I remember, he couldn't have been, 9 or 10 years old. And for Christmas, he wanted a bunch of computer parts. I didn't even know what these things were. And, of course, Santa Claus brought him computer parts. This kid built his own computer that he still uses today. I couldn't do it. So he likes to build things. He can, he's learned to weld. He's learned to use a torch. So yeah, they both take a different approach, which is kind of cool for me because I get to see them develop in two different ways, and now they're starting to both see a little bit of success. So, as a father, it's a great thing to see and a great way to watch them, kind of grow in the sport.
And that's something too. I know you kind of hit on the younger folks in the pits. I feel like that's something that over the last, I want to say, handful of years, we're starting to see a lot more younger folks get their hands on stuff. I know there's a lot of your Lucas Oil, your World of Outlaw teams out there that are advertising all the time, need help. And I think about, if I was 18 and just getting a grip on this sport, man, there's so many opportunities for younger kids now to just take the reins of this deal, and the sky could be the limit. But we're seeing a lot of younger people at the racetrack turning wrenches, wanting to learn, compared to where I thought, and this is me being completely honest, 10 years ago, I thought the younger crowd was going to simply be the ones that could drive. They'd show up, they'd put a helmet on, they'd race, they'd go back and sit in the air condition until it was time for them to drive again. I think we're starting to see some of these younger folk really take on the aspect of, I need to understand what I'm driving.
I agree 100%. I feel like the dirt track community is more like a rebel against the way society is going and forcing people to grow up with all the technology and stuff, where it's more old school. It's more like, back in the 70s and 80s, as far as being a kid growing up, being outside and doing things and all that stuff. I see that more in the dirt, community than, some of some of their friends from school. We show up. I remember we went to Volusia for the first time, and we pulled up, parked down there by the Gator Pond, and the only spot that they had was down on the backside of the gator pond. You got all these $1 million rigs, and me and Brodie pull up with, our $11,000 trailer, and, everybody kind of looked at us. We didn't know anybody there. We were just, I was told, it was beat into my brain, race as many tracks as you can race and get seat time. So that's what we were doing. And it was just me and Brodie down there. I think it was 3 or 4 days. But this year, some of Brodie's buddies and Parker's buddies have become more involved. Now they don't come to the shop very often, but when we go to the track, you remember the movie Six Pack?
Yep. Very well. Kenny Rogers.
Listen, that is what we look like. We pull up and there are kids. There's no adult. I'm the only adult there, and I'm not much of an adult. It just me, this old man, and a bunch of kids, and they get to work. I mean, they've got to where they don't know a whole lot, but they know, hey, we need to unload the tires, we need to get the fuel, we need to. So, it's so cool to see that and have them away from electronics and computers and whatever else they could be doing. So. I agree. And we see that a lot too. We, as much as we travel now, every track we go to, I see it at every track, and I absolutely love it. I would hate for, we've seen so many tracks, disappear, because it's a tough business. But it is a business. But outside of the promoters and the track owners, you gotta have the youth in there somehow. And you never know which kid you take a picture with, sign an autograph for, give a sticker to, whatever, that how it affects them. Because I'll remember one of the first or second races we ever went to, Terry Smith was there. I'd never met him. And he picked Brodie up and he put Brodie in his race car. And I remember the conversation leaving the track that night. I knew Brodie was hooked right then, so you never know how it's going to affect. So when we pull up and we've got all these teenagers with us, that are doing all these things, I think, other kids are looking at it going, I want to do that, and like you said, there's a lot of opportunities, man. I would love to be 18 and know the dirt world and know that exists and go hit the road with one of these teams and travel and learn, the craft that these guys, whether it's tires or setup or whatever.
There is a lot of money that's out there right now. You got to think these super late model teams, some of them fire off the first or second week in January. And if you go to the Dome, you're not shutting down until after the first weekend of December. And it's one of those things to where if you're going to do it, you need to really, really bite down and really focus in. And it's not, it's not something that, if you don't like being on the road and if being away is not your thing, it does have its moments when you're gone that long. But if it's something you really want to do, man, there's so many opportunities right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I'm glad the boys are doing what they do, racing and working on their cars. But, if the opportunity arose for either one of them, or they had the desire to go, I would encourage them. It's, life is hard anyway. But, doing something that you're passionate about, like this, whether you're working on, I've never raced a car in my life. And all I do is work on, I work on their race cars after work. And I get a lot of joy out of learning about these cars and how they move, and watching them go out and do good. I just love to watch them race. If they finish in the top 10, top 5, that's fantastic. But just to do it and keep doing it, and go through some of the stuff that you got to go through. you get involved in accidents or, things that you really wish wouldn't happen, but to watch them work through it and, have a little bit of success on the other side. It's almost like going and playing golf and hitting that perfect golf swing. You play 18 holes and you shoot like crap for forever. And then you get to the 17th or 18th hole and you get that one sweet shot and you chase it for the next, 20 years. Same thing with this racing stuff. You find a little bit of success and it's like, well, I did it once, so they just keep plugging away. I love it.
Yeah, and in our opening, of course, Brodie's win back on April the 24th, an emotional one, and you could tell in Victory Lane what it meant to him to be able to grab that checkered flag. And what a season it's been as we go into this week in the national points for Parker. He's got 10 features, 6 top 10s, 3 top 5s, still hunting for that first win. But man, as we talked a little bit earlier, these last 5 races, he's really started to zone in. Second at Talladega back on May 2nd, second at Magnolia back on May the 9th, really chomping down on that for Brodie's season so far. 17 features, 14 top 10s. I think that's something right there that when you really sit down and look at it, winning is very, very important. But you working on these cars and you being over all this, I think emphasizing to them and seeing the results, bringing these cars home in one piece each week. In some circumstances, if you can get a top 10 or a top 5 and you bring it home in one piece, that's pretty close to a win nowadays.
It is, especially with some of the competition that's out there now. There's, when I refer back to Terry a lot because that's my knowledge base, where it all started. But when we were first starting out, Terry was, we raced, I think Brodie was 12. We raced Talladega and Boyd's, and then he raced Ice Bowl. And I want to say we went to Rome that year, and we may have gone to North Alabama. We didn't venture out a lot, but we did venture out some. But going to these different tracks, and I remember it vividly. Terry says, if you can win at Talladega, you can win anywhere. And we race. If Talladega's racing for the last 2 years, we were there. We dedicated, this year for Brodie to the 602 Tour. So, he won a championship at Talladega last year. So we kind of upped our goal a little bit to try and achieve a different goal in the 602 with this tour. So he won, I think he won at North Alabama, was his very first win ever. And it was exciting, don't get me wrong. And it was a good night. And then he won, let's see, I'm trying to remember. He won at Pine Ridge. Oh, and then we went to Thunder Hill. We'd never been to Thunder Hill. They were the only track racing that weekend. So we went to Thunder Hill, went there, and he won there. And, the excitement was there and all of that. But that first win last year at Talladega was emotional because it was that pinnacle that had been, put in our head. You can win anywhere, but you can't win at Talladega, and then when you win the one at Talladega, it's tough. Talladega's tough. This tour is tough. There are a lot of really, really, really good drivers, on this tour, and in the modified, Parker, I think Parker led almost half that race at Talladega when he finished second, and watching him and Steve Payton battle back and forth. That was an exciting race. It was a fun race. Parker learned a little bit. He had never been in that position to lead that many laps in a race with that many people. So he learned a lot about himself, his driving and his car, and how it's not just the car setup. A lot of times it's the mental aspect of it. How you let that affect you once you get the lead. Where is that guy? How do I need to win this race? And he could pinpoint a couple of things in the last few laps of that race that may or may not have made a difference. But it is tough. It's tough to win anywhere, but winning at Talladega is big. Winning, Brodie won the Bama Bash last year. That was a big race for us as a small team. And, I think every Talladega weekend race that Brodie had raced before, we crashed out or had a part break or something. And for him to win that back in April, that was for him personally, that was a big win. That was one he wanted to kind of mark off his list. I want to win on a Talladega weekend. So yeah, that was a super, super emotional win. And Parker's real close. People say that when you get your first win, they get easier. They do, because you feel it, you know what it feels like, and you get used to running, doing what you got to do and finishing in the top 10, top 5. So now that Parker's got a little bit of that taste, I don't think his first win is too far away.
Right. And definitely something to watch as we approach the halfway point of the national points season. That was something else that I was going to point out too, as we start to wind down. Parker currently sets third going into this week in the Crate Racing USA Modified Sportsman points. And Brodie, I've looked at this, and I don't really think that I really grasp it. I know we talked about it in the opening, but Brodie currently sets 6th in the dirt late model standings, the 604s. Currently 5th in the 602 national points. And as we mentioned, he's now sets atop of the VP Racing Fuels Young Gun Championship points. To have his name in 3 of the national point standings is pretty cool. And then you mentioned the 602 Tour. Seat time, I know you emphasize seat time is very important, and that definitely looks like something that Brodie is definitely taking full grasp on his seat time, and Parker is too. So, man, exciting to see where the second half of the year goes. I know we're getting ready to get into the summer stretch, and you guys are already when you break it down and look at it, you got 17 features for Brodie on the national standings, and then you got 10 for Parker, and you've not even gotten to summer yet. So I hope you've got yourself in shape and ready for the stretch as the temperatures start to warm up.
Hey, buddy, we're ready to go. Listen, it's been we missed 3 races last week, and looks like we're going to miss this weekend. Unless a miracle happens. Talladega's canceled tomorrow night. But if there's a dry track somewhere within 3 hours, we'll find it.
Well, Gary, man, we appreciate you spending some time with us, sharing your all story, and pretty cool to see a team that's not that far back into getting started and already starting to have some success. And and I know you mentioned you've had some help and some good advice, but pretty neat to see you guys have pretty much went on this adventure kind of on your own. You've stood on your own, and now you're kind of getting to see the rewards of that.
Yep. It feels good. We're glad to be here. It's a lot of fun.
One more time for folks. Bama Sheds. What do people need to do if they're needing a shed or a pole barn or a carport? What do they need to do if they're in the Talladega area?
Go to BamaSheds.com. You can check our stuff out on the website. We've got a shed designer where you can design whatever size shed you want, whatever options you want. If you're comfortable, with technology. If you're not, just pick up the phone, call 256-268-8484. We're open 6 days a week, and we service about a 50-mile area, for sheds and pole barns. So it's not just Talladega anymore.
Well, Gary, we appreciate you giving us a little bit of time, and look forward to seeing y'all at the racetrack, hopefully soon, once Mother Nature decides to get back into being a race fan again.
Yeah, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We're excited to get back for sure. I appreciate your time, Cody.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Well, coming up, we'll get ready to wrap up the show, and we'll see what's coming up in this next week of national competition. We'll have that on the way in just a moment. You're listening to Crate Racing USA Live.
Crate Racing USA Live will return after this commercial break.
Feel the thunder. Experience the heart-pounding action of Crate Racing USA from dirt tracks across the South. Catch every lap, every pass,
3 wide, just momentarily for the
every victory with Crate Racing USA TV.
The modified main event on this Friday night.
Watch live events or dive into on-demand replays anytime. Whether it's a single night shootout or a full weekend of racing, you're in control. Never miss a moment. Watch from anywhere. Visit CrateRacingUSA.tv now for upcoming events and full race replays. Crate Racing USA TV, America's leader in racing.
When performance matters, champions choose Hoosier Racing Tires. As the largest race tire manufacturer in the world, Hoosier produces over 1,000 different types of race tires, engineered for speed, precision, and winning results. With cutting-edge technology like a 300-mile-per-hour test wheel, a state-of-the-art production facility, and advanced mixing plant, Hoosier continues to lead the way in racing innovation worldwide. Hoosier Racing Tires. We fuel passion, pride, and success with our tires designed for champions. Order today at HoosierTire.com or call 574-784-3152. Hoosier Racing Tires. Tires designed for champions.
Racers are dedicated to winning. And Chevrolet Performance's 3 factory-sealed circle track crate engines can help you get to the checkered flag first. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a touring hero, on dirt or pavement, Chevrolet Performance circle track crate engines are engineered to win. Right out of the box.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
The biggest street stock event in the country is back. August 12th through the 15th, the Southern Street Stock Nationals returns to Why Not Motorsports Park in Meridian, Mississippi. It's a must-see weekend, and the best Crate Racing USA street stock drivers in the country will be in the House of Hook. Coming up August 12th through the 15th, it's a must-see weekend. Find out more and reserve your spot at Why Not Motorsports Park's Facebook page. Hello again, and welcome back into Crate Racing USA Live as we get ready to put an exclamation point on our episode number 10. We do so by looking ahead to week 14. Well, week 13 was not kind to us weather-wise, and week 14 got off on the wrong foot as we lost the race scheduled at Pine Ridge Speedway on Monday with USCS Sprint Cars, turned around and lost Thursday night at Talladega with the USCS Sprint Cars as well, and it didn't get any better for the United Sprint Car Series on Friday as Hattiesburg Speedway had to rain out as well. Other notables, Needmore Speedway on Friday night, their first responder night, it is rained out as well. Now, tracks that are still holding their fingers crossed, holding their toes crossed, and probably everything else for racing action tomorrow night. Baton Rouge Raceway down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They'll host a 1,000 to win Crate Racing USA Late Model Special, and they also debut, I don't know if you've seen their Facebook page or not, but the rolling of the dice, so to speak. They're going to shuffle things up, and they got some different programs they're going to be doing to kind of do some shuffling of the lineups and have some fun with that. I like it. Creativity, I mean, it's something we don't get a lot of anymore, but they're going to roll the dice and shake things up down in Baton Rouge Raceway. Now, keep in mind, all these schedules subject to change. Make sure you check out all their Facebook pages for more details. Paducah International Raceway up in the Kentucky, up in the Bluegrass State. They'll host the Mars Tour. It's the USA World 50 on Friday night. $10,000 to win for the Supers. They'll have Crate Racing USA Street Stocks, Crate Racing USA Late Model Sportsman in action as well. On to Saturday night. Right now, Saturday night, believe it or not, is actually kind of looking a little better. We do have a couple of changes, but Cedar Ridge Speedway in Morgantown, Kentucky, they're going to have a bomber special on Saturday night. Cottonwoods Raceway, they're trying to get their Jackie Hughes Tribute Factory Stock race in. By the way, that's a $4,222 to win event. Deep South Speedway in Loxley, Alabama will have their Memorial Day shootout event. East Alabama Motor Speedway, it's weekly racing at the Playground of Power Saturday night. Greenville Speedway going to try to give it a go for weekly racing on Saturday night as well. Pine Ridge Speedway in Guntown, Mississippi will have weekly racing. Western Kentucky in Madisonville will have a $1,500 to win street stock event. And Whiteout Motorsports Park in Meridian, Mississippi, keep an eye on their social media page as the USCS Sprint Car Series, one event possible. And the House of Hook had that final event of that speed week that they were supposed to have before Mother Nature reeled in. Also wanted to mention that Jackson Motor Speedway in Byron, Mississippi will welcome the Mississippi Crate Late Racing Series. Hey, they are back in action this weekend. Going to be a big event. Race number 4, they got 3 drivers tied for the points championship. Nick Thrash, Chris McElhaney, and Landon Jackson all tied at the top of that point standings. And, of course, as we mentioned, the American Crate Late Model Series, a doubleheader weekend. Coming up tomorrow night, they'll be at Hunt County Raceway in Greenville, Texas for the 5th annual Jerry Shipp Memorial. $2,500 to win, $400 to start in that event. And then, of course, Kennedale Speedway Park in Kennedale, Texas on Saturday night with a $1,500 to win feature. Top 3, Robbie Starnes. We've had him on the show. He's the points leader still. He's ahead of Denny Gerber and Patrick Danielle. They all have the top 3 in the points. You can watch that event. You can watch both events live on Race On. Series announcer Chase Lawler will guide you through the racing action coming up this weekend. And once again, unfortunately, the Crate Racing USA Dirt Late Model Series had their event at Sonoma Raceway postponed. Good news is we'll be back there September the 12th. That'll be the second time that we're there because we'll be there coming up in August as well. That's how things shape up for Week 14. We are 2 weeks away from the halfway point of the 2026 season and counting down to rolling into that halfway point and, of course, the summer stretch for racing under the Crate Racing USA brand. That's going to do it for this week's show, episode number 10. A big thank you to Donnie Shipp for being with us, and a big thank you to Gary Thompson, both of those gentlemen, for giving us a little bit of their time this week. We'll do it again next week. Hope you join us then. Like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for all you do. Thanks for joining us this week. And until next time, we'll talk later with more Crate Racing USA Live. Have a good one, y'all.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of Crate Racing USA. Crate Racing USA would like to thank our fans for their support, and we hope you enjoyed this broadcast.